All right, we kick it up again on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Batteries recharged.
Yes. Feel fresh.
Feel fresh, baby. Lots happened since I've last done a show.
Globally, I would say.
Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, in for Sammy McKee. Disco Daniele.
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 Guys?
Disco Dan.
Hello, pal. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Great to be back in this chair. I hear Sammy's on some tropical getaway.
Love having you here. But who gave Sammy permission to leave?
He's never had permission. He just left. He's gone. I think his lovely wife has taken him on a getaway of sorts.
On a getaway.
Yeah.
So I'm sweating out, missing a couple of shows last week.
Man.
This guy's taking the whole week off.
It's just the week before playoffs and Florida Tampa Bay games coming up, though. It's fine.
It's all good, Sammy. Enjoy it. I certainly did. Fresh off a little golf trip. Got in Cabot, St. Lucia. Last time we spoke on the show, I told you I'm heading south. I did a detour at the end, and I spent another 2.5 hours south to St. Lucia.
The truly baffling part of that is we asked you where you were going the day before your vacation, and you said, I don't know.
Well, I said the plan was a Cabot course.
It was.
Yeah. And then it kind of just shifted south.
That's nice to have the luxury to just go to Cabot courses. So St. Lucia, for people who haven't, Google Cabot St. Lucia for looking at this golf course. Oh, my God.
Bought the T-shirt too, and I brought you a hat back.
Thank you very
Sammy,
much.
I brought a hat back, but Sammy's not here. But it's spectacular.
I'll claim it.
There.
I'll claim it.
You're in the seat today. It's your hat.
You,
No more golf.
let's just see how the week goes first,
Yes, sir.
Cisco.
Yes, sir. Sounds good.
All right, and then we'll give you a bit of a reward.
Well, I'm glad you got to have a little break. I'm glad you're feeling
Thank you, my
refreshed.
friend.
Playoffs coming up. We're going to need you at your best. You're rested.
For sure. In about half an hour, we're going to welcome Cujo, Curtis Joseph back, former NHL goaltender, of course, with your Toronto Maple Leafs. We haven't had him on in a while. It'll be great to hear from him. And then at the top of the hour, Brooks Orpik, former NHL defenseman, of course, teammate of a player. I forget his name. It eludes me, but he passed Wayne Gretzky.
Had some success recently.
$8.95 for the great Ovechkin. Yes, this is our Leaf Hour edition, but your thoughts on what we saw yesterday? I don't know if you saw it live or you picked it up on the replay. I did tune in, and I thought my first thought was, it'd be interesting to see how this thing plays out. The game stopped. I thought it had the right tone for one of our greatest NHL records ever. It wasn't too long for me. Of course, Wayne, the commissioner, the owner. But what were your initial thoughts?
I mean, timing couldn't have been much better, right? It's a second period of a game against the Islanders, who are pretty done. Ovi gets it in the, roughly the Ovi spot. There he is, right at exactly the Ovi spot, top of the circles. So, you can't ask for much more. What a great celebration. I thought the dive was wonderful. The reactions were great. I don't have anything but positive things to say about the way it went down for a guy who once said, when asked about breaking Gretzky's record, he's like, I don't think it's possible. I'd have to score 50 goals for 18
I remember
seasons.
the conversation on Hockey Night in Canada with David Amber. He was the one that brought it up to us. And it's not that you didn't believe that he could do it. What you didn't believe, at least for me, was that he would find a way to stay healthy and score at the rate. I honestly thought that the body would break down at some point.
100%. It was never, I was skeptical that he would get there. And by skeptical, I said 4 years ago, still no. Because of exactly what you're talking about. He's been a physical player his whole career. But more than that, he's built like a whiskey barrel. And he doesn't strike me as someone whose number one goal is health and fitness. And I just thought Father Time catches up to all men. Why not him? And Father Time has been staved off up to this moment. So yeah, that was what my bet was against, and DA got it right.
Bears mentioning too, Borny, 16 games he missed. Broke his leg.
Yeah,
missed 16 games this year. This year.
Yeah.
And then he still somehow did it. It's pretty cool. I mean, I thought it was cool. Even going back to Friday night where he ties it, home ice, crowd, special atmosphere. Yeah. But then the acknowledgement of, nah, ain't doing it on an empty net.
Yeah.
That cognizant, that moment of being very conscious of saying, nope, don't send me over the boards for an empty net opportunity. I'm good. I don't want that. Yeah. And then you factor in that added element of 16 games missed, broken leg. He came right back and looked like he didn't miss a beat. And then he does it, never mind like pushing it to the last 2 games of the regular season. He does it with time to spare. It was really cool. It was really well done.
And in true greatness fashion, that everyone followed him around, and it wasn't a drawn out like, oh, this is awkward to watch. They've been following for 2 weeks. He can't shoot it in the net. That he just got hot, and it's, he's great. He's the greatest to ever do it.
We will have plenty more on Ovechkin and his heroic weekend on his 895th career goal. Brooks Orpik will join us at the top of the hour. In the meantime, Toronto Maple Leafs do not miss a beat while I'm away playing many holes.
Sounds great.
Of course, I think the one that probably convinced a lot of people that they are truly today in the driver's seat of the Atlantic Division was beating Florida last Wednesday. Mm-hmm. And then taking care of business on the weekend against Columbus.
They've looked really good lately. You kind of hoped it all would come together at the right time for them. And this is not to say that it has come together necessarily, but I think there's really encouraging signs. I think the team defense has been great. A lack of second chance opportunities for the opposition has been great. Their top 6 looks very good. Honestly, Kip, there's reason I think to feel like they're in playoff form right now. Like, they just kicked the crap out of a team on Saturday night in a way we haven't really seen them do that often.
Toughness. That's the other thing, too. A little bit of toughness, a little bit more grit in there. You're seeing it. You're hearing the player side. Matthew Nyes today talking about, I love the north-south style. Oh, okay. Here we go.
Yeah.
But you're starting to see more signs, visible signs of embracing that style of play. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, we're going to see 2 games this week, obviously, that are really important, playing Florida and Tampa again, and getting a better feel for it a week away or just over a week away from playoff hockey. But, yeah, I mean, they've looked good. They've looked really good, steady, solid, and I think that element of adding a little bit more, like, net front toughness has been noticeable
Our
for
boy
me.
Lorenz fought. Lorenz did a fight.
We had conversations on Steven.
Yeah, who we love.
So he's Lorenz now. He's not Steven. When you drop your gloves,
Mr. Lorenz.
Mr. Lorenz. And it looked to me like it was enough that he had some juice. The heart was beating, right? And he wasn't scared to throw punches, and it was a real meaningful kind of fight. It wasn't that everyone's watching me, so I better do this. It just felt like it maybe felt naturally to him. Mm-hmm. I don't know what that means moving forward at times. Do you have what it takes to not do it every night or do it once a week but just have it in you if you think at the time you need to do it?
Yeah.
Can you now do it?
I'm totally in that camp of just, as long as guys have the willingness to do it, there's a scenario where it can happen, then the opposition has to at least respect them a little bit and can't, like the old Marchand on the Sedins back in the day. The Sedins were never going to fight it. There was never a threat of that, so you can just do whatever you want. And at least the more guys you have who say, okay, there is a line I can get to, I think it's a good thing for the Leafs.
All right. For those of you that don't know, this is a lineup sheet from Disco Dan.
We should
and
publish
it is,
these.
I know Sammy's away. And I hope he's not watching or listening.
He's not.
Okay. So this lineup from Disco Dan is like something that you'd think would come from Yale University. and Sammy's is like community college.
The problem is it's so thorough. You need to come here earlier to prepare to get through this, so I know all the good stuff
I
you got.
appreciate that.
We got 15 clips in here, Kip.
We do.
Yeah,
and I can't find any of
They're
them.
in black. They're in black. Page 2, 3 there.
What section?
Subsection B, point 2.
Point 2. All right, let's go to one. Head coach Craig Berube on the overview of the team's performance so far.
Yeah, I thought that coming into the game, we talked about staying patient against this team. They got a lot of talent over there. They could score goals, but I thought we defended well. Goalie made saves, stayed in it, and just eventually took it over in the third, like we wanted to, and I liked our team sticking up for each other in the third period. Good job there. It started to get a little chippy, but I like that we stuck up for each other and handled that.
I didn't mind Columbus's start.
No?
No, I thought they actually looked okay even when they were down 1-0. And the Leafs at times can look to me like they spend a little bit too much time in their own zone.
Mm-hmm.
But the important thing is if you're going to play this way, and I don't know, did they have a dozen shots after 25 or 30 minutes?
The Leafs?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think so. But they've done that when they get leads.
I know.
Yeah, they stop playing.
If it's not that they stop playing, they're just not. They don't create a ton, but you have to be able to defend and take away the middle of the ice, and then have really good goaltending. That's what I saw Saturday night for the first half of the game, maybe even more. And then to Berube's point, they took over the third.
Yeah.
The third was like, they're done.
So then with this not creating, no puck possession thing, do you think Nick Robertson did enough, can do enough to be a guy that they choose to put in? Because he's one, I think he almost has as many even strength goals this year as both Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, if I'm not mistaken.
For me, Nick's not in game one for me today.
Yeah.
But I don't know what's going to happen for the next 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
How many games we got left?
6.
Half a dozen games. Still a lot of games to go. A lot of different scenarios that you have to consider. It's how healthy are you going to be by game one, and where are you on balanced attack?
Right.
Where are you feeling good about your lines and the energy that you've created towards game one? I worry about Nick sometimes playing like along the walls. And Saturday night he gave
in every other way
and he
than
takes,
shooting it in.
Right? Who forget the defenseman that slammed him into the boards there.
Oh God, yeah. Was
Right?
it Jack Johnson?
Jack Johnson, thank you. And
Yeah.
then he bounces on the next shift and he's in for a hard forecheck.
Yeah.
Which
And then he puts someone into
Yes.
the boards. Yeah, he's a bit
Provorov.
of a Provorov. That's right.
So it's a good look, but you may consider if it's Florida being heavier. That's all.
Yeah, of course. And I agree with you that game one, it's unlikely. And I agree that he probably will and can get in. There's a point where you're going to need some goal scoring prowess. We've got a number of Robertson clips here. Why don't we just hear a few? Start with Berube, clip 2, please.
I mean, I think he's been in the lineup a lot. I mean, like I said this morning, like he got taken out, and then we were winning games, so I didn't change the lineup. But listen, the guy's got great speed, can score goals. He can shoot. He's played pretty good hockey for us this year. It's not like he hasn't. And like I said, it's sometimes you make decisions in the lineup, but Nick's just got to manage the puck more than anything, I think, being simple with it, getting pucks out, getting pucks in. And then when you have the opportunity, you can use this. He uses his speed very well and capitalizes on some chances he gets. So just being defensive, responsible, and managing the puck.
Yeah, so turnovers is a big deal with him.
Yeah.
Clearly.
But it's like it's at the blue line where it's like you're not going to create anything anyway. Like he doesn't default to the safe play. Like he just like, okay, how can I score a goal? And then last second try to dump it in and it's a half chip or whatever. There's something there with this kid. He has such a sense for the net and goal scoring and whatever, which is why we've joked on this show. he's like tailor-made to score 25 goals for the 30th place team, which is a terrible thing to say. But like, if he can hang in there long enough to stay in the lineup, he'll shoot a couple in for a good team too. So,
Buddy, you're talking to a guy who scored 17 for a team that didn't make the playoffs. So I get it. I get it. You get some opportunities.
yeah.
Aren't necessarily there with a really deep team.
Yeah. And that's, it's a matter of doing the other things to stay in the lineup. You know, last year, Nick played all 6 games, 1 through 6 against Boston. And by game 7, didn't have a point, didn't have a sniff, and they took him out for game 7.
Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't engender much confidence, I don't think. But
I bet you the reverse will do him good. Don't start the playoffs, then jump in.
You're going to play no games,
Yes.
in on game 7, then he's a lock to score.
The one constant is every time he sits, he comes out and he scores.
I haven't mathed it out yet, but I think it's the 4th time he's been scratched, then come back and score.
I the number's in there somewhere. I
is it really?
included it. I actually included it in there where he's been scratched and him coming off the. Where is it here? Because I noted it is specifically for him.
All right.
Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, 4 goals, 2 assists in the 7 games he's played after a healthy scratch.
4 and 2.
4 and 2, 6 points in 7 games.
Yeah.
He's
basically John Tavares statistically in the game after a scratch.
There you go. And 12 even strength goals, by the way. 12. So he's still a little bit off, but 12. It's the most behind the likes of Marner, Matthews, Nyes, Bobby McMahon, your usual
Next up,
suspects.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's a pinch skater.
He is a pinch skater. It's like, dude, bring in the lefty.
Go to the pen.
I guess he's a righty. Anyway.
They're down like 3-2 in a series, and
Bring him in.
Bring him in.
Yeah. He's a unique animal.
Better stylistic fit against a team like Ottawa than a Florida, clearly.
That's a great point.
That feels like an obvious thing.
And so right now, Jake McCabe and David Kampf are considered day-to-day, both hurt against Florida. They're going to be absent for both games in the state of Florida this week, but they were on the ice Monday. So they're both skating and deemed day-to-day, but not going to play in those games.
All right, with that thought, let's go to Craig Berube on the performance of his blue line and what he thinks of Carlo's play.
I thought Brandon Carlo was really good. Not that the other guys weren't, but he stuck out. He thought he had an excellent game, just eating pucks and killing plays and, simple. But he's a vacuum. Myers did very well, I thought. He's been out a long time. Thought he was simple with the puck, made hard plays, defended well. So he had a solid game for me.
This Carlo thing's interesting. So, we gave Riley a bit of a hard time for plus minus.
Riley's better.
He's better.
He's just
That's
better.
exactly
is he great?
where this is headed.
Not quite yet.
No. Plus 8 in his last 6 games.
Yeah. He's
chipping away.
He has settled Morgan Riley down.
Yeah, towards something. So it's actually interesting because if he solidifies Riley and you feel really good about that pair, Tanev and Ekman-Larsson have been really good. They've been actually sneaky one of the best pairs when they're together, and then you can have McCabe, Benoit. You have options with this decor. And I watched the expected goals against, I watched this graph on a quadrant on Sportlogic's back end and where the Leaf move around. They're getting better defensively. They're getting steadily improving on that back end. And I think since Carlo came, it's really changed their back end.
Their success in the playoffs will come down to how well they can defend and continue to block shots. And we know Tanev's now the Ovechkin of scoring goals when it comes to blocking shots.
Yes. He's reverse Ovechkin.
And great goaltending. And just hope Willie's going to do Willie things and Marner's going to do Marner things and so on.
Yeah. So Stolarz for you now solidified as game 1. Is there any room?
Wall tomorrow night.
Is it Wall tomorrow night?
It wasn't confirmed.
But you think it should be?
Oh, all day long.
Probably should be.
All day long.
This would be Stolar's 4th crack at Florida if you went to it
Correct.
again.
Yeah,
He got one at least, right? He got one win. So
you go Wall, and then you plant the seed to win the division and leave Tampa with a lasting memory of Stolarz beating you. That's my game plan.
I was actually hoping to talk to you about that because I think I'm going to write about it. How the Leafs should handle this game against Tampa Bay when it feels like that they're the team you need to put away. Could be a division matchup at some point.
I'm sure management sits there like we do every day going,
Do you want to show them our
well,
cards?
what do we think? And I don't know if there's one guy that doesn't step up and say, like, Tampa's the team to beat right now in the Atlantic.
Yeah.
It's not Florida. And there is some talk, especially around Leafland, that Florida's tanking
To get the Leafs.
to get the Leafs.
So this is, if you haven't paid super close attention to the standings, Ottawa is now 2 points back of the Florida Panthers, which is craziness. So were they to pass Florida and the Leafs were to win the division, you still get Florida, which is truly the leafiest thing of all time.
There's your prize.
But I think there's a worthy case to be made. Is Florida still? Like, Barkov's been hurt. Kachuk is hurt.
Yeah.
We're not sure where he's at.
Did you see
Kulikov, like a bunch of guys.
the
lads.
lineup? Reinhardt, I don't think played.
Oh, yeah, that's right. No Reinhardt as
No
well.
Reinhardt.
Yep.
Is he hurt?
I think he was hurt. I think he was hurt.
Even if they're hurt, they're not hurt.
No, I see your point.
They're
Playoffs start tomorrow. They're playing.
They're loading up. They're
He
loading.
has a Puljujärvi on the top line going on right now. Is
So,
that right?
and actually, they've actually played pretty well. They've fallen off.
Yeah.
They've lost games by a goal.
And they
not
outshot
getting
some team by 25. the other
Ottawa.
night. Yeah.
Ottawa,
Lost
the
in overtime, I think
goaltending
it
was
right?
phenomenal for Ottawa.
Great.
And maybe the only difference between beating that team, but they're sitting there going, we just got to get whoever we can get healthy enough to start game one.
Oh my God,
They've mailed in whatever they have
They
for,
don't
for the
care.
push. And they don't care.
They to bring us the Leafs, bring us the Sens, okay. We've had to go through good teams. Right now, we'll roll out Matt Kierstead, Jacob Magna, and Uvis Bolinski's on our on our bottom pairs. That's fine. But there's also the element of, okay, so let's say it's game 3 and every name you associate with the Panthers is back. It's still a big ask for those guys to be the Panthers right away. You're going to have a short window to try to stick them, get a few wins,
They
put them down.
played a lot of hockey here.
A lot of
Come
hockey.
on, two finals and being asked to do it again. Now they're in their mid-30s here. They still should be able to push. I mean, your dad's teams found a way to do it 4 times in a row.
Yeah.
Granted, it was maybe a best of 3 in the first round, or
Best of
3 out of
5.
5.
Yeah.
3 out of 5.
That helps.
All right, maybe
That helps.
marginally, a little bit.
And some of those
But
were probably like free passes.
But they still found a way
Yeah.
to push
I think they won 19 straight
in their
series.
prime.
Yeah.
Florida is in their prime. So I don't know if I'd completely write them off, even if Kachuk hasn't had a game since the Four Nations.
If the Panthers have a gasp of breath left in their collective vessel, you would rather play Ottawa than Florida. As long as
Agreed.
they have a chance, bring me a team that isn't Florida, right? I mean, that's
Less
not to say you can't
experience.
lose to Ottawa too, but
I'm past trying to guess.
what's left in those teams?
I think all 3 can be dangerous opponents for each other,
Yeah.
right? All of them. And now Ottawa is involved. So Toronto hasn't beaten Ottawa in a year and plus,
4 score and 7 years
right?
ago.
So I don't know. Is it a style of play? Is it Ottawa would come in and have a tremendous amount of confidence against the Leafs?
Right, but they wouldn't have the confidence of a team who knows how to win, right? Like
No.
once you start to find a way, it's not like a Florida team who's just going to keep going. Anyway,
But Bennett's broken down a little bit. He's he's got some wear and tear on him. Barkov,
Kulikov.
like that's an important defenseman.
You're going to get Ekblad game 3 of the playoffs.
Like you got to be up 2 Cobb against them.
you better be.
Yeah,
you better be.
Marchand's having a tough time, guys. Too. He's not.
Hasn't scored yet, right?
He's not. He's not the dangerous guy he was in Boston yet.
But
Maybe there's an adjustment period. Maybe he's not shooting the puck enough, but he's not quite there.
It's tough when you're missing your guys, your horses, right? Like Marchand, in theory, was supposed to play with, whether it's Reinhardt or Bennett or go through the list, Kachuk. And he's playing with Luosterainen and Lundell, which is normally a third line. Now it's their second line. Tough. I think he's got 1 assist in 5 games or 6 games.
Is there any parallel here between what Tampa experienced maybe 2-3 years ago and what Florida's experiencing now after, Tampa won back-to-back, but Florida's been to back-to-back. Florida's won 7 of their last 8 playoff series, which, to your point, you'd much rather play an Ottawa team that hasn't yet been there, I think, than Florida because of that alone. But then on the flip side, Tampa went through this exercise where they got to the third one, but boy, were they gassed. Mm-hmm. And I at some point, it does catch up to you a little bit. And Tampa was similar. Like a lot of their guys, their core guys were in their prime still at that particular juncture. But here's Florida trying to do the same thing. And it's just a little, the battle scars adding up over time. Not to say they won't be good again and sustainably good. They're a very good hockey team. But I don't know. They're either rope-a-doping us or there's something going on.
They may be resting up these guys, so they're going to be red hot out of the gate. So stand by. But by the way, for people who think they're tanking to get the Leafs, that's stupid.
No.
No player's ever tried to lose a hockey game.
I would believe that they're...
Is there anything better than beating the Leafs? Hey? Anything better?
The top priority is just to get them as healthy and as well-rested as you can. Yeah. But there's no question there's a part of me that also says we're not scared of the Leafs.
That's a thing.
We have a recipe to beat them.
Well, and what's the incentive to fight for the 3 seed? Oh, we get to hang on and play Tampa? Like, nobody thinks it's not even about the Leafs. It's that you fall to 4th and you finish and you play Toronto versus maintain your spot and get Tampa Bay, who everyone thinks is at least as good, except more accomplished. So it's just more of a indifference to who you play than a tank for the Leafs.
All right, let's get Matthew Nye's thoughts on what he thinks about an opponent in round 1.
Not to me. No, I think it's, I feel like we're going to verse, some of those teams in the second round and so forth. So I think it doesn't really matter to me now.
And let's follow, let's follow that up with his individual success against the Panthers, which has been great.
I think it's just, very tight scoring, close games, playoff hockey, very physical. And I think that's kind of where my game takes off, where it's very simple, very up and down hockey, north-south kind of game. That's kind of when I tend to play my best hockey. So I think that's probably the reason.
I love that's how he thinks of it.
Now, who gave him that shot in front of the net there? Fabro?
I don't know.
Oh, the one where he got cut. Yeah,
Yes.
I forget who it was.
I think it was Fabro, the defenseman.
Yeah.
And then he's like, no hesitation, right back, right?
He's starting to.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what it's like. It's no question. It's like, you want to mess with me? I'm coming right back at you.
Yeah.
If he continuously loses that ability to think and just react, like this guy can go to another level in that true sense of power forward.
I can't. He should have had 11 goals on Saturday night. I can't believe backdoor passes that just went past the toe of his stick, breakaways. I mean, the speed on his breakaway was eye-opening. He looks like
he really owns that area of the ice when he's on it.
Yeah, he does, and that's a big development for them. We have Cujo at 4:30. We should probably.
What are you producing now?
Well, I'm just telling you, I want to respect our guest.
Right?
Yeah, we can respect him.
I appreciate you picking up where Sammy was supposed to leave off.
Sammy likes to direct, produce, do everything. Yeah.
No question about it. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we return, the real dog in this city, Cujo, returns. Real Kyper and Bourne. Welcome back to the program. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Disco Dan, Derek Brandeo, and Jake the Snake Schultz, all back together with the exception of Sammy. So we got rid of Sammy and we're bringing on Curtis Joseph. Thanks to our good friend Glenn Healy at the NHL Alumni Association and also Budweiser, we bring in Curtis Joseph. Hey, but what's going on? What do you got going these days? Where you been?
Haven't seen you in a while, that's for sure.
I know.
But hopefully soon, right? We'll play some golf.
You bet. I got to take you to this new place I found in in Cabot, St. Lucia.
Nice little.
I got a sweatshirt and everything, buddy. I'm
Wow,
gold.
I know. Our buddy Roxy is down there. So how much fun was it?
It was. I arrived Tuesday, and me and Rob, we got in about 6 holes, but the most scenic 6 holes, like the finishing holes, are spectacular.
Really?
And then I snuck in 54.
Oh, okay. Snuck in 54.
36. I think I finished with about 132 holes in 3.5 days.
Good on you.
So we're good. We're good. Now what's
That's awesome.
what's the deal? What do you got going with Budweiser and Ovi's historical goal that makes him the king of the hill?
So, what an accomplishment, first of all. I didn't think he'd have a chance to break Gretzky's record, let alone this year. What a year he's having. But Budweiser Canada came up with this promotion. And unbeknownst to me, I didn't know there was 29 goalies. Before last night, there was 29 goalies that had not been scored on. And I was one of them. So I was trying to think back. Man, how many times did I play against them? But apparently it was only 5 minutes and an overtime. Lucky for me. So, no goals against. So we're part of a big promotion where our number, you can see up here, you can see they have cans, and our number is going to be at the top. It's really cool. How many goals and how many shots? Actually, I'll show you the can. It's pretty cool. So it's appropriate too because it's Budweiser 0 for no goals against. And look at this can. It's so cool.
Yeah. That's really cool.
2 shots. You got the 2 shots on there. If it was only 5 minutes and you got 2 shots, that's a pretty good average.
Were you in Calgary or Arizona? Where were you?
No, Kyper, that's the game where I came in. Martin Gerber pushed the referee with like 5 minutes left. And so I came in cold, and they had a barrage of shots, went to overtime, a couple more barrages, and then a shootout. So Ovi did have the last shot and didn't score, but I don't think that counts as a shot either, right? Because it wouldn't count as a goal.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah. I mean, hey, listen, Ovi played against you and you didn't shoot it in the net. That is accomplishment enough. You know, watching this guy over his career, were you as shocked as we were about the longevity? Like, we always knew he could score a ton of goals, but like, just he's been doing it forever now.
Yeah, the longevity thing, big man, didn't get injured very often, or I didn't hear about it. When they started was Crosby and Ovechkin, and you were either in one camp or the other. And it seemed like anyway, and I was a Crosby fan. I just loved the way he played and, how he carried himself. And then Ovi grew on me with the celebrations that he had of every single goal. I would tell kids, guys, celebrate. It's great that you can score a goal. It's part of the game. So Ovi started winning me over with his celebrations. And then when he won the cup and the greatest celebration of all, I'm like, this guy is so great for the game. And I cheered for him every time when he wasn't playing against me. So great for the game. And he represented his team and his himself extremely well.
We're talking to Curtis Joseph, former Toronto Maple Leaf, Budweiser Canada ambassador. Cooge, when you see a guy like Ovi do it 895 times and the passion that he has for putting the puck in the net, and you, over your career, you played with some guys like that, against guys like that, but not everybody has that type of passion. Like, we all know scoring a goal in the NHL is like, it's the best.
Sounds amazing.
Why aren't we all like that when it comes to that passion and emotion? For Ovi to have it, every goal that he scored almost feel like it's his first one is like the thing that blows my mind the most. And as a goalie, I mean, you were lucky. You had Brett Hull there. You've seen a few, but there's not that many.
Oh, I agree with you wholeheartedly. You had that kind of passion when you scored a goal because you didn't score many. So
I did.
Yeah, pump it out.
No.
which is great. But yeah, you're 100% right. The passion he had for scoring goals, like when you watch him as a kid, that's how you're supposed to celebrate. That's how you're supposed to, because it's hard. It's a hard thing to do. So it's incredible the passion he had and how he represented the NHL so well. Good on him. I'm glad he did it.
Curtis, we do our Maple Leaf Hour here, which we go deep on them, and with the goaltending, we can't always go that deep because we don't know what we're talking about. You've been watching this team for a long time. Stolarz and Wall feel like as good a duo, as good a shot as they've had at having great goaltending in the playoffs in some time here. What are your thoughts on both guys and how they're positioned heading into playoffs?
Yeah, this is the best goaltending they've had
Since you.
In this last decade run. So that's a great thing.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're both been lights out, and the fact that people can argue who they want in the net. That's another great thing. They're both equally talented. Whoever gets hot, you're going to ride out, and the other guy can come in if something happens. But that is a great thing. And then the defense is a lot bigger and built for the playoffs. We haven't had that in a while. So, hey, as a goalie, when you got big guys back there that don't allow guys to come to the net, it's a lot easier for me to do my job. So I love the personnel they got. Big upgrade. And it's about playoffs. So we'll see what happens.
Curtis, there are many gifted goaltenders at the pro level, at the American Hockey League, wherever they are. And I'm just wondering, can you meet a guy that plays that position and in 5 minutes know whether or not he's got a mentality for it? And I only say that because at times we've watched the goaltending here,
Jack Campbell
and Samsonov.
Yeah.
And there's times when these kids are hard on themselves, and we haven't seen any of that out of Stolarz or Wall. They're confident guys, and I just how do you tell a guy don't worry about it and move on to the next one like a golfer? But do they really believe it?
So Kyper, that's a great question. And as a goalie partner, we are teammates, but you want to be in the net, so it's always a competition between the two goalies. So you're always evaluating your partner, and you're always evaluating. And the question you ask is, can you tell if the guy's got it? I can tell if the guy doesn't have it pretty quickly, but to tell if a guy has it, it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of ups and downs to see what they're made of. So that's a really interesting question. And without a doubt, I can tell you maybe within 5 minutes if he doesn't have it. So there's definitely a mental edge or the opposite of the mental edge. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited with the playoffs.
And do you think that mind frame, like I'm looking at Connor Hellebuck and people right now are saying, in playoffs, he's not the goalie he's been in the regular season. Or, for the Leafs, Joseph Woll's gotten 4 games. He's been very good in those games. I guess I want to know if you believe in clutch or if it's just random sample size. You're playing a good team. They had a few good bad games, losing playoffs, and people go, this guy's not clutch. I think sometimes some guys get a rap when it's based on such a small amount of games, but I'd love to leave that to you.
Yeah, so it's not cut and dry. A good coach or good goalie coaches or a good organization can see what makes their player tick. Like you look at Team Canada and you look at Jordan Binnington and all the questions that he took. And it looks like Jordan Binnington plays well when he's questioned or he's the underdog, and he'll show you. So what makes Connor Hellebuck, what makes him tick? I don't know, but you could find that out and make sure he's ticking on all cylinders. So goalies are an interesting breed, and it's a tough position, and a lot of it's mental. If you have the if you have the talent, then it's only getting the right mindset around it. It's kind of like, and Kyper, you can attest to this. Like when you're playing golf and you're playing well, you have one swing thought, and you ride that swing thought out until you can't ride it anymore. It's kind of like goaltending. You should have one thought, one or two thoughts, but not 100 thoughts. So when the chamber is clear and functioning properly, one thought, and just like your golf game.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I cannot carry that swing thought past the halfway house. It falls apart.
We know that.
Drink Bud Zero.
Cooch, what about where teams are today with load management overall, but more particular with the goaltenders and the fact that you don't want your guy to play back-to-back, and I don't know, 60 games is a thing of the past. So am I dating you now, or am I going to turn you into a dinosaur like I have on many occasions on this show?
Well, another interesting question. It depends on the person. If they have a propensity to get injured, maybe you want a load management. But for myself, I wanted to play as much as possible and not have like a week off or 2 weeks off. I hated when you won a series, and that didn't happen very often. We went to a lot of game sevens, but if you won a series and then you had a week and a half off, that was terrible. It was terrible for me. I needed to be playing every night. So I didn't like to take too much time off because I felt like I was sharper if I played more. And sometimes when you're tired, you don't overplay. So back-to-backs was my favorite, actually.
You know, one thing we talk about regularly, you know, we talk about Ovi and his longevity, and we talk about players and their decline, how Sid is still doing it. It's incredible. Right now, there's a couple of goalies that are hanging in there in the back half. Vasilevsky's looking great this year. Bobrovsky, you're still not sure, but he can be great. He's one of those guys. What becomes more challenging as you get older as a goalie? Like, you know, players have to compensate in sort of different ways and think their way around the game a little bit. What changes for a goaltender?
So the older you get, the more knowledge you have, and the more knowledge you have, you understand the consequences of possibly losing a series or not playing well. When you're young and fresh in the league, man, and you got a hot goalie, I would ride that guy forever because they're insulated against pressure if they have the talent. So as you get older, you have to guard against what ifs or thinking beyond the present. And I think Bobrovsky went through a little bit of that. He had to go for a walk on the beach, regain himself. It's a constant battle. And since he's been through that, I wouldn't bet against him. He's learned how to recalibrate and be the best he can be.
Saturday night, Lane Hutson scored an incredible goal end to end, but it was the worst angle you've ever seen. The Flyer goaltender was Erson. And it went anyways. It was like a foot off the goal line, short side, and drives me nuts. Cooch, are the goalies all kind of playing a certain style because they're playing the percentages, or it's most efficient? You would scramble, you would do whatever it took to maybe come up with a new save, where these guys have got a pattern to their game these days?
You said it was an incredible goal, and I had seen it, so I was like, incredible goal. It was garbage. It was
okay.
Terrible.
Yeah. No, on Lane's part, it was incredible.
Yeah. Right. Great skating.
Great skating. Great skating.
Great skater. So here it is. Yeah, you should never let a goal like that in. And I remember earlier in my career, I cheated on Claude Lemieux. Yeah, here it is. Look at this kid skate. It's so fun to watch.
My goodness.
What a talent. What a talent. So fun. But I remember early in my career, Claude Lemieux was far out and he was on the boards, and I cheated on the pass. Guy wide open, coming back door, unprotected. And he shot it from there, and he's got a bullet, and he shot over my shoulder. And I was like, play the shooter first. Trust your speed. Never let that happen again. Yeah. So it takes one time like that square up, play the shooter, trust your speed, trust that you're going to get over. Anything can happen. It can be tipped. Your D might get it. So never cheat, never let it go. So hopefully that young goalie learned a valuable lesson. Never to cheat like that. That's your guy. That is your guy 100%, and never let that goal in. And you can always be looking around, but you cannot let that goal in, and he'll learn from that, hopefully.
Kuj, how do you feel about all the goalie interference going on these days? Like, would you like I talked to some goalie guys now, and they say that goalies will kind of come out and look for it, almost get into it, and then you got to get out of jail free card if you can't make the save. What are your thoughts watching it now? You're a battler.
Well, I don't know about those goalies, but your first thought should be stopping the puck and being able to see the shot. If you're thinking like that, you're not going to be in the league long. But, geez, I wish it was prevalent back when I played. Man, I would have had a bunch of goals taken back for sure. But it is incredible, the subtle plays that can really affect a goalie. I remember Ryan Smith used to come in and he'd hit the top of your stick, the butt end.
Yeah.
And if your stick is not functioning, there's no way you can, first of all, stop it, but you can't play a rebound, and you'll give up a bad rebound. Gary Roberts used to do that, come from my right side and just hit the end of my stick. And it's tough to call that, but if I relied on my stick to be able to put the puck wherever I wanted to, and man, that would really mess you up. Rebound goes in, looks like a bad rebound, but man, if you can't move or you can't, I remember losing it one time in Ottawa, chasing a ref down. I can't remember who.
I heard about that.
The Mick.
Yeah.
The Mick.
I was under the crossbar and I thought it was goalie interference.
Yeah. You were
legendary stuff. Yeah. Hey, listen, great stuff as always. We did an alumni event last year, maybe a year and a half ago. We went to Montreal. We sat on the plane and we just talked like this.
Yeah.
And all I could think of is like, why are we on the show right now? Why aren't we doing a show? Because it was absolutely fascinating getting his perspective on everything around the game. Hey, buddy, great seeing you through our Zoom chat or whatever we call it these days. And we're going to hook up soon enough on the links, okay?
Sounds good. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thanks for your time.
Appreciate it.
Curtis Joseph.
Appreciate it too.
NHL alumni and current ambassador for Budweiser. The campaign is called Bud Zero, King of Zeros, which means he is one of 28 goalies to claim that they had never surrendered a goal against the Great Eight.
Well, coincidentally, I have never surrendered a goal to Ovi, and I am a zero alcohol beer drinker. So I appreciated that segment. That
there
was
you
wonderful.
go. Just talking about like the passion of Ovi. Scoring goals. So one of the highlights of my NHL career was David Poile, when I was a member of the Washington Capitals, felt like there was just not enough passion going on in the game. And he pulls out a video in front of the whole team and he says, and it was a goal that I scored. And like Kuj said, I didn't score very many, but it was a goal I scored against the Winnipeg Jets. And like, I'm not going bonkers, but you could just see, like, and he's like, why are you guys more like this?
That's embarrassing.
It is.
Getting praised in front of your team is always like, I'm going to hear about this.
But years later, you can appreciate it, though.
Yeah.
Right?
There's no better feeling
and
in any sport, and I'll maintain that. Maybe hitting a home run in baseball, I never got to do that, but.
I also did an alumni event. You know what? Let's pick up this on our national show because it's around the Grade 8, of course, and the passion that he's shown so many times on his way to setting a new NHL record as the king of goal scoring. All right. Plenty more on Ovi when we return after the break. We go national next on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Here we go. Back in town. What's happened since I've missed a week, JB?
World War III is on the horizon. We're all broke.
Easy.
The Leafs are going to win the cup. A few things.
We are live on Sportsnet. Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver, Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. Nick Kypreos back after a few days at Cabot, St. Lucia, where I've mapped it all out for you guys. I can get you on the course. You just got to promise to buy $10 million home.
A $10 million home. I don't think I could get one for that there.
Just starts
All right.
around then.
So I thought maybe you were there meditating, getting in touch with yourself and nature. But
Yeah.
it sounds like you played 6,000 holes
I
of
did.
golf.
I did
instead.
play a lot of holes. The batteries are rejuvenated.
Good.
Just in time for Daniele to step in for Sammy McKee, who's on his way to somewhere really warm too.
We're like the Panthers. We need everyone fresh.
You know,
Take your breaks now.
You started this, by the way.
Yeah, hey, listen, I'm not complaining. Green light, bud. Do what you got to do.
All right. Major story on the weekend. Grade 8, surpassing Wayne Gretzky, becoming the all-time goal-scoring king of the National Hockey League. 835. When you start putting up the numbers, they're eerily similar in terms of games played and
Beat the record in the same games played. Although someone said that
31 years apart.
31 years apart. Gretzky
With Gretzky.
didn't score in his last 8 games, and I think his career games played total is what Ovi's is now. So he actually would have got to the record quicker. But anyway, I digress.
In a couple of minutes, we'll welcome in Brooks Orpik, former NHL defenseman, 2-time Stanley Cup champion, and of course, teammate of Alex Ovechkin. We'll get his thoughts on just what it was like,
Also, what
watching
is
him.
nutrition? How does he stay so fresh for so long? Let's hear his diet.
Top two. And
Well, did you see one of his press conferences? He's like cracking open a beer.
I did not see a video of him this past weekend where he was not cracking open a beer. So
shameless, man. Right there in the locker. Shameless. Cameras, he's like, no, first thing.
You can do whatever you want, I guess.
Yeah, you can. It's become apparent how much of things were just decided by social norms and whatever, and you can just break them apparently. So have at it.
I think the greatest thing I can say about watching this thing evolve, from a thought in the sky to the reality of it to this past weekend, is I always thought that this one would be tough at his age now because of this transition of the hockey club, and it's getting old, and he's already lost Backstrom. Oshie's not there now, and you're going to try to chase this, and it would play off of what our game is all about, team and winning.
Yeah.
And he did this with all the attention around him, and they've managed to turn themselves into a top team in the National Hockey League. Like, I thought it was one or the other. It's the record and then the team second.
We thought it was going to be a sad spectacle of the team being built to get him the record over the next few years.
It's been anything but.
Yeah.
Like, for him to do this and the team still hold a top position in the National Hockey League and to be bona fide Stanley Cup contenders while he's still doing this is like, I don't know, it's just like a movie script.
And like merciful the way that it happened quickly. Like you put Gretzky and Bettman and we got Sean Reynolds on the chase for, the great chase or whatever. And like, I think they started it when he was 4 goals away, and it was like 3 games later, he just done. We're not on some awkward journey.
And we had conversations on like empty net. Would he take the empty net? And I'm like, he's loved empty nets for like 60 or 70 goals in his career. Why would he not like it now?
Yeah.
But he called his own shot on it as well, which he can.
Touching the top of the dot or the circle from his spot. It was very fitting. Fantastic celebration. I thought the whole thing was really well done. I thought, couldn't have been executed better on all fronts.
Very classy. Wayne Gretzky, too, with the way he handled everything.
Hit the Gordie Howe pin on.
Absolutely. Just to a T, perfection in terms of all class standing there, going through the process, whatever you feel about him otherwise. I mean, that's different. But in terms of handling it, I think it's emblematic of the game. Like the sport, right, as a whole, and the way it's about passing the baton, passing the torch, and being present. And as he said many years ago, I'll be the first one to shake the hand of whoever breaks it, if it happens. And sure enough, center ice right there, he does it yesterday. Just unbelievable moment, unreal moment, really, really cool. And by the way, you mentioned the 31st anniversary, I think it was 31 years.
Yeah.
21 years ago to the day, 21 years ago to the day, 2004. That's when the Caps won the draft lottery. exactly to the
Isn't
day
that
to
beautiful?
earn them the right to select Alex Ovechkin, and look where
Scored
he is
50
now.
per ever since. Not bad.
And that did include 2 shutdowns,
Yeah.
Yeah.
full lockout,
Yeah.
and half a season.
The guy is he's Russian machine, never breaks. Right? That's the gag. And he is insanely healthy. For people who bet against him getting to the record, like myself, it was never based on ability. It was always longevity. Who can be built like a whiskey barrel, throw the most hits in NHL history for a forward, and still be successful when they're 40? And it's like, him. He can.
I remember watching the game live, Washington. He's in Utah, and knee on knee, I think McBain, if I'm not mistaken. And it's like, well, there's a sight we don't really see that often. That guy
It's
limping,
the beginning of the end. It's like,
limping.
no.
And I don't know what he missed. 14 games, maybe?
16.
16? All right, I was close.
It's a miracle.
Okay, as promised, Brooks Orpik, former National Hockey League defenseman, Stanley Cup champion, and of course, teammate of the grade 8. Brooks, thanks for joining us, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. Obviously, an exciting day yesterday. I was down there Friday, so I got to take that in, and then it was my one of my daughter's birthday yesterday, so had to miss out on the festivities yesterday, but it was definitely fun to watch.
It sure was, and Justin just mentioning how what a great touch it was in terms of the celebration, the stoppage. It wasn't too overboard. I think it showed it the right respect. Just your overall thoughts in terms of having him as a teammate and watching his storybook career evolve and to still do it at his age. Like, what stood out the most when you first met him or watched him or played with him?
Oh boy, there's a lot in that.
Yeah.
I think just the way that he's kind of evolved when he came in. Obviously, I played against him for 10 years when I was in Pittsburgh, so I knew how physical he was and how almost reckless he was at that size. Kind of how you guys just touched on it. I think the goal will speak for itself, but I think the durability is the thing that has just amazed me, playing against him and then playing with him, and then seeing some of the stuff that he was able to play through and talking to the trainers. I remember a couple of knee injuries that they told him 2 to 4 weeks, and then in 2 days he's back playing. So to play that style for that long and then be that durable, obviously he had the freak injury this year with the leg. So I thought that would derail him a little bit because he was on that crazy pace before the injury, and at 39 years old to come back and pick right up with that pace in the middle of the season was incredible.
Brooks, I also missed it yesterday because of my daughter's birthday. So happy birthday to your daughter. But was there ever a time where you guys would watch this guy and go, how does that still work? How does he still shoot it in from that spot? Like, teams know you've defended it a ton on the PK, I'm sure. But it just, for some reason, teams cannot defend the Ovi shot from that spot.
Yeah, I mean, we still laugh at it. Like, why do teams not just put a guy on him? And some teams try to do it, but he doesn't. He needs such little space and time to get that shot off. And I think as he's gotten older, I don't know if he's necessarily gotten smarter, but he's changed the way he's played. He obviously, his legs have slowed down a little bit, but I don't think he's as dependent on his legs as some of these other guys are to create opportunities. And then he's had the good fortune of having good passers that get him the puck in those spots. But you see a lot of like goals down around the net now and tip-ins, and he's one of those guys. You always hear people say, "Oh, the puck just finds him around the net," but that's not luck. I mean, those guys' timing and their ability not to get tied up is something that it just goes to their intelligence around the net.
If you were coaching or playing, would you suggest like taking him away and playing a 4-on-3?
I certainly would. I mean, like we had a great power play when I was there with Nicky Backstrom and Kuzi, and then you had the 3 righties with Carlson, Oshie, Justin Williams was there for a little bit, and then obviously Ovi. But I think when you have a guy who's that lethal and with that many goals, I think it's tough to kind of stomach when you give that up. I'd be a lot better off giving it up to somebody else and making somebody else beat me. But obviously, there's a lot of great players and coaches that that have faced him, and he's found a way.
So, we opened this up by talking about his durability and his longevity. And when we associate those words with athletes, it's usually these like freakish, nutrition first, get my sleep type guys. Tell us about Ovi off the ice. Because, when we see him in videos, like he scores the 895 and I've seen him have 32 Coors Lights since that happened.
Yeah. A bag of chips aren't too far off either, eh?
Yeah, it's not exactly the Gary Roberts habits off the ice, but it's just yeah. I mean, he's a freak of nature, like, and then you got to try. I'm in development now with Washington, so we're trying to tell our prospects, especially the Russian guys, that this works for one human being, and that's it, So it just defies logic what he does, but. Yeah, I don't know. Like he, even this year, like I said, like he's obviously slowed down a little bit. I don't know if picking his spots is the right term to use, but he probably conserves his energy a little bit. But then I think he's definitely gotten smarter as he's gotten older and knows he can't play this the same way, or he'll probably hit a wall. But I think he's still on pace for. If he would have played all 82, he was on pace for 56 goals, which is just crazy at this age.
Yeah, it's crazy. Is he like a hard worker in the gym compared to yourself?
A little bit different. I mean, like I remember when I was playing with him, he was still playing a ton of minutes when I was playing with him. It's probably a little bit less now. But he would always kind of pick his spots depending on how the game went or how his body was feeling.
Right.
But I mean, he's just such a naturally a big guy, and like the overall power that he displayed was so unique to go along with his skill set.
We're talking. So I haven't been at work in a week, Brooks. I've been on vacation.
He's been golfing in St. Lucia.
And I think my mouth is still on the golf course in St. Lucia. Let me ask you something in terms of when we thought about this record a couple of years ago. I had always thought that it was either going to be Ovi's record that becomes the top priority or rebuilding this team becomes the top priority. But you can't have both of them at the same time. And this organization, through Carberry and, of course, his coaching staff and general manager Brian McClellan, they had their cake and they're eating it too right now. How is that possible in your organization that they are able to get this guy his record? Ovi's able to get it, obviously for himself, but not at the price of team and winning and putting yourself in a position to win a Stanley Cup. That to me is the most impressive.
It is, and it's I had nothing to do with it, so it's all the pro scouts, obviously, in the management. But yeah, if you watch the first half of last year, and then the team and Ovi, right? I mean, I forget what it was. Ovi had like 8 goals or something at the All-Star game, and he really hadn't had a great year up until that. I mean, he was dealing with a lot of other stuff too, away from hockey, that I think affected him a little bit. But then he went on that crazy pace at the end, and then the team snuck in to that ace spot, which surprised a lot of people. And I think coming into this year, all the moves that with the new guys that came in, everybody kind of seemed to work out, which is usually never the case. Some guys work, other guys, for whatever reason, it's just not a fit. But right from day one, the teams played great, and I think Ovi was probably re-energized a little bit by the success of the team, and then knowing that the team probably had a chance to win this year. So I think that helped him, and then obviously the chase obviously galvanized the group and helped the group. So be interesting going forward here after he achieved that, to see if there's any sort of emotional letdown with the team or with Ovi.
So the management there gets a lot of credit, as they should, as does Carberry, the management gets a lot of credit for the roster changes that were made going into this year. Matt Roy, Mangiapane, Dubois, a lot of players came in and made a significant difference for the team. But arguably the biggest change has been like this Protas and McMichael are unbelievable players for the Capitals that I don't know that all of us outside the Capitals thought would be this good. What are you guys doing? How do you help someone who's already a good pro get to the level they're at now?
Yeah, well, yeah, I think that's been important, right? Like with especially with the salary cap, and then with I guess it was an aging roster a couple years ago, and now it's gotten younger with some of the guys we brought in through free agency, and then obviously with the infusion of some of the guys from Hershey. But no, I mean, Hershey's a unique situation where it's an affiliate, and there's a lot of pressure from the Hershey company to win, as evidenced by winning the Calder Cup the last couple of years. So it's always an interesting balance of trying to get your prospects the right amount of development time, and there's a lot of good veterans down there that are crucial to winning. So I think that's something, trying to find the right balance of not taking away development time, but also having your prospects in a winning environment. I think is something that's been important for our guys.
Brooks, when we talk about this generation, and the two leaders are Sid Crosby and Alex Ovechkin, and not only did you get to play with both of them, you won a Stanley Cup with both of them. Are you the only guy to claim that?
Surely.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, because Matty Niskanen came over with me. Yeah, but he wasn't in Pittsburgh yet. He came over from Dallas, I think, after we won in Pittsburgh. So, yeah, definitely. I guess I am. Yeah, the only guy, unless it happens again here. But
That's pretty cool.
yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. Yeah, and talk about two superstars that go about achieving success in completely different ways. So I think that. But I think those two guys have a lot of respect for each other, even being as different as they are.
So we cover the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first hour of our show. This is year 9, I think, of their core trying to get over the hump. They've made the playoffs 9 straight years as of this year, and they can't quite break through. The Capitals did that for a lot of years. Were very good, couldn't quite break through. Is it just keep knocking on the door, eventually you get lucky, or is something change in terms of mentality to get a team over the hump?
Well, I don't know if there's a concrete answer there. I think every group's a little bit different.
Yeah.
It's funny because obviously you go back to that definition of insanity, right? So there's always a lot of external noise and pressure when you come up short. With our group, I remember after 2017, I thought for sure they were gonna make a lot of big changes, and they didn't. They kind of tinkered a little bit. But no, I think you just you got to go through some disappointments before you get over the hump, unfortunately. And then I think if you look at ours in 2018, we wound up coming back. We were down 3-2 to Tampa, beat them, and then Tampa. I think it was it the next year or 2 years later that they got swept by Columbus there in the first round. So it was a sort of a similar roster and situation, and I don't know how those managers didn't cave in and blow it up, but obviously both those guys saw something that they stayed the course with it, and obviously paid off for them. But yeah, I think it's a little bit different. I mean, Toronto. Yeah, I mean, I think you got to learn from those failures or disappointments. If you don't, then they're looked at as failures, not disappointments. And then every year, yeah, I mean, I think anybody that tells you that when they go through a Stanley Cup winning run, you definitely get some lucky bounces along the way. I mean, I go back to the first round against Columbus when we lost the first 2 at home, and I think we won game 3 in overtime, but we were a poster crossbar away from being down 3-0.
When you look at this Washington Capital team today compared to the one that won the Stanley Cup, not that it's not led today by Ovi still, but Ovi doesn't have that same cachet. I think that physical at his age that he would have had, a few years ago. What, in your mind, really makes this Washington Capital team tick today when you think about from the net on out?
I think when you look at it, I think the pieces just fit, and guys have really bought into their roles, which is unique. And then they've been knock on wood, they've been relatively pretty healthy this year. So guys have kind of been in those roles and in positions in the lineup for a lot of games, which has helped them. But I think right from especially the 6th defenseman, there hasn't been much change there at all. So I think having that continuity is really helped them. hopefully they can continue that the rest of the season and into the playoffs. But yeah, the health, and then I think guys, there's just been really good fits all throughout the lineup, which has really helped them.
Yeah, Prochas went down, I think, on the weekend, which may be one of the few times that they've lost a key piece. Hopefully he'll be ready to go by the first round.
Yeah, like that was one, like even going back and watching the replay of it, it's tough to really even see the injury or see the skate cut. So he was walking around after the game, so I thought he was fine, and then learned obviously he's out for a little bit here, but yeah, hopefully it's not too bad because he's had a great season for especially for a younger guy.
Hey Brooks, great stuff, man, on the historic Sunday in the National Hockey League. Thanks for doing this, pal.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks
Brooks
a lot.
Orpik.
Yep.
Boy, he was a solid defenseman, man. What a
Yeah.
great career.
Yeah, you think about what teams are looking for at the deadline. It's always like that guy. That's essentially what they're trying to track down.
So, did we know what Prochas' injury was?
No, just listed lower body, I believe.
Yeah.
That's it.
Did you see how I kind of tricked Brooks? Right?
You got a little more intel.
I just kind of said, hey, got hurt. And he goes, yeah. A cut on his leg.
I'm sure that'll heal up just fine. But yeah, very interesting.
For Washington, we can hope so.
What a weird year in the East, because like the Capitals could get the Montreal Canadiens and then play the winner of Carolina, who traded away Mikko Rantanen, and New Jersey, who doesn't have Hughes or Hamilton.
Yep.
There's a path there for the Capitals to put it together and then play whatever husk comes out of the Atlantic. I mean, they've got a shot this year, this Capitals team.
Which, I'm not going to call you out, but you've never really bought into Washington.
I still don't. I get texts or tweets, people be like, you hate the Capitals. Like, I don't hate the Capitals. I call balls and strikes. That's it. To me, they don't look like a team who I think is that much better than Tampa Bay or Florida or Dallas or Colorado or Vegas. Yeah. They're in a group of good teams who have a chance.
I think Brooks nailed it. They just have a bunch of guys that look like they just can play off each other and relate to each other and
magic.
Well, yeah, they got some
secret sauce.
It says, and they let there's some wide shots of Ovi. Like he's not moving. Oh. I'm like, I bang my phone. Is it stuck? Have I got a pinwheel going? No, it's just Ovi not moving.
The power. There was one from last week, power play. The whole 2 minutes, I kid you not. Everywhere from the top of the slot to between the circles didn't move.
Yeah.
Like the puck goes down, he did not move. Everybody changes, he stays in the same spot. He's 39 years old.
It's loaded for when you can get it into when you can load the cannon, the cannon is ready.
But the cannon on 895 looked like something like when he was like 20.
Yeah.
Like you could just tell, like he lost no zip in 20 years on his last shot that broke the record.
You know what's really incredible?
He got so much on it.
Yeah, he did. It's the whole thing's incredible. He actually very, very narrowly missed the hat trick against Chicago late in the game. Got a piece of Mrazek. I don't know who goaltends for them.
Great question, Bourne. I don't know.
Definitely not Mrazek.
Not Mrazek.
Soderblom or something like that. But anyway, he just has such a knack for it, man. A lot of these guys, I'd say like Austin Matthews, doesn't have the hardest shot, doesn't have the most accurate shot, but he gets in the right spots. He knows where to be, and he does have a great shot still. But Ovi, for a while, didn't he win the hardest shot contest? Like
I don't know if he was ever
Spencer Knight, by the way. That's who was in goal.
Oh, sure, yeah,
that's
whatever.
Right. Cool. Yeah,
but like he's had the whole package, and he just shoots and he shoots and he shoots and he shoots. And eventually,
I don't think
hot.
I don't think Ovi's shot was ever recorded. At least I don't remember ever being recorded as like one of the hardest shots.
I would bet that on average, Tage Thompson shoots it harder than him in a game. Like Ovi he comes off funny because of that big toe hook, and he whips pucks that are close to him. And everyone talks about Ovi and the one-timer from the top of the circle. I bet if you put together a highlight reel of shots within 5 seconds of a one face-off, I bet you he's got 40 goals, 50 goals. just comes back, that little wrister is.
Yeah.
And it's
Like the one we saw
draw shot.
yesterday.
Exact same wrist shot
Right.
like that. He catches it there off of one draw, just whips it.
And
goes like,
Sorokin's
it's like-
pretty good goalie.
Like
Yeah.
it's the whipping action. Yeah.
Clean on
Hey,
Sorokin.
He asked Sorokin for his stick. Someone said he's going to put together a museum or something. Anyway, he asked Sorokin for his stick, and Sorokin said he'll give him his glove. And all I could think of, like, if you're Sorokin, like, get something from him.
They asked him that, and Ovi's like, "No, he didn't ask anything. I'm going to take the stick."
Like, they held the puck, that he scored the goal with, and it was immediately worth $1 million. Like, it's $1 million puck if you get your hands on it now, and it's probably worth much, much more than that. Say, yeah, you can have that stuff. Can I have? You got Mark Messier's elbow pads from when you won the Stanley Cup.
I never asked for anything.
Get Ovi's jock. You got to have a piece of him for that trade. You got valuable stick. You want this? Get him sign a puck for him.
But
It's not the puck.
love this merchandise stuff, eh?
Oh, well, buddy, it's a whole world. It's a fascinating world.
But it's a piece of history. It's not just a merch. It's a piece of history.
That's
Is-
right.
is-
There's
is that-
important delineation?
Is that like what's been reported that the puck is worth $1 million now or more? I would think it would be.
I'm sure it's more.
More.
I saw $1 million somewhere.
Okay.
He keeps that puck, correct? It doesn't go to the Hall of Fame?
I think. I think
that's a
he's
good
doing his
question.
own museum.
Okay.
That's a good question.
You know what's weird about this, too? I know baseball's slightly different because the ball, home run, the ball is caught by somebody.
Yes.
But even in other sports, right? Think about the most important pieces of memorabilia often get given away or somebody claims it and then they get sold 5 years later and all of a sudden it's going for some astronomical number. Hockey, it never happens, which is great. I think that's perfect. But I do wonder, actually, what happens with that puck. If he keeps it, if it goes to the Hall, or what goes to the Hall, what he keeps, etc.
His teammates should have been like locusts,
So
just
my
robbing his
my
stall.
Ranger Game 7 jersey,
Yeah.
which I got to play in, the Hall of Fame took it.
Do you not have it?
I don't have it.
Well, it's yours. You can get it back from the Hall.
I believe at the time the question went, can we have it to put it up? And I'm like, yeah. And I think it was,
yeah.
you can get it back if you want it.
I would imagine. Yeah.
But it's pretty cool that it's there
Yeah. You know, one of the coolest things
until
actually,
somebody offers me something for it.
one of the
Can I have it
coolest,
back?
one of the coolest things about Clark Gillies. So my father-in-law passed away. Today's his birthday. So he passed away, 3 years ago, 3 years ago now, 3 years. And when he passed away, they're like, all right, so what does he have for memorabilia, whatever? They have a charity. They're going to do some auction. He's got nothing. He gave every piece away. People say, we have a piece for a silent auction.
Wow.
And we have a piece for this auction. We're raising money for this. He's giving away all his gear. Gave it all away over his career, which I think is pretty spectacular and probably how it should be handled.
A lot of guys had that mentality. And, just to bring it back to the Hockey Hall of Fame, it's an amazing place. I've been there since I was 7 years old, 1,000 times. And you walk in there and it's like, you're going in there for the first time and you're seeing all this amazing stuff.
Yeah.
And it's because players were generous enough to say bigger picture stuff, right?
Yeah.
It is unbelievable. I love that place.
It is really cool. And it makes me mad at my son that he doesn't care about the stuff.
No, not yet. Not yet.
He's 8. He's like, yeah, okay, old skates. I'm like, you don't get it.
No, I remember I remember being that age and being fascinated with that stuff. That was and having it here in Toronto.
Yeah.
Yes, we are in Toronto. In Toronto, growing up as a kid, that was really cool.
Yeah.
And you go in and every few years then you have different artifacts and new things that would be added.
Yeah, they do a great job.
They do.
Did you collect when you were a kid anything, pucks? I got a Maple Leaf puck when I was 7, and there's not too many times that I'd let anybody touch it.
Yeah, I've got some stuff like Dad played. I've got a Gretzky autograph stick. I've got a few sort of items like that, but not a ton of stuff.
Yeah, see, I
collect
didn't have
cards.
that connection. I had to go beg strangers.
You had
for
to earn
pucks.
yours. Nepo memorabilia, baby.
All right, Disco, what do we got? Game time.
Yeah, game time. It's game time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19
game
plus.
time.
Ontario only. play responsibly. So 5 games on the ice tonight in the National Hockey League. I think the one that's the most juicy, attractive matchup, St. Louis
and Winnipeg.
Yeah, I talk about number 1 team in the league in the Winnipeg Jets.
Ooh.
Jets talk. I know you guys Jets
Jets
talk.
talk. Are they?
Well, I mean,
they're hanging on. They're up by a
statistically,
point. Yes.
Right now, yes.
Yes.
But the St. Louis Blues, the hottest team in hockey, 12-game winning streak, looking to make it 13 tonight. They are dogs on the road going into Winnipeg, plus 145 on the money line. I actually like Winnipeg in this game for me personally because they're coming off a bad loss against Utah on Saturday, 4-1. I kind of like them. Home ice, get it right. 12 in a row, not 13 for me.
I tweeted before the show, Kip, I think there's a case to be made. This is one of the most important weeks in Winnipeg Jets history.
Ooh.
Bold claim, I know.
Do you think if they blow this,
I think Colorado gives them a tough series, like 50-50, maybe 51-49
this week
for
will
Colorado.
be remembered as the down of the season?
Well, no, but if it doesn't, and they draw the Minnesota Wild, I mean, heavy favorites, should win that matchup. You let the other teams in the Central beat each other up. You hope they're more hurt than you. I think the Jets have a chance this year to win the Stanley Cup. I think they need that favorable first-round matchup to have the best chance at it. If they get caught by the Dallas Stars this week.
Crazy that you can play almost 82 games, have the season that they're having, and have a negative kind of feel going into the last 10 days.
What if they win? They have 3 games this week.
But you got a but.
They play St. Louis, Dallas, and the
get it.
Edmonton Oilers this
I get
week.
it. It's just
Chicago too.
It's really strange that you can have this season and you could be scared about
yes.
your first round
well,
match.
because Colorado has 98 points, but Colorado wasn't Colorado till Colorado'd at the deadline. They did the thing. And they're a different team.
And now all of a sudden they're a juggernaut.
Suddenly.
Monster.
Yes.
Very scary.
So it's like, win the division.
Yeah. I think that's.
Sorry, I derailed.
No,
your
no,
game
you
time.
didn't. I'm just gonna little bonus item. Provided they play tonight, because there's rain out in Boston, the Jays and Red Sox. And what I'm looking at, very simple. Vladdy got his deal.
His deal.
He got it. It's great. Everybody can be happy. Has yet to homer this season. Plus 525 tonight to hit a homer at Fenway Park against the Red Sox. If they play, that's the one I want.
Plus
525.
Half a Billy. Oh, he doesn't have a home run this season. It's like,
there you go.
God, that's terrifying.
Hit one. Come on. 11. Game
Vladdy.
11.
Vladdy, we got Vladdy.
Buyer's remorse already?
No, no, I'm just, it's not like he's leading the league in homers. Of course you're paying him. It's like, all right, let's start to
Let's see.
put the first tally on the board here.
That was game time. Presented by
game time.
Bet365. Visit the app, latest odds, find out why it's never ordinary. Bet365 must be 18 plus, Ontario only. Play responsibly.
Nice job, Disco.
Thank
okay,
you.
we'll get into the standings more in depth and what we can expect the rest of the week. As JB has noted, a very important week, not just for the Winnipeg Jets, but other teams. And what does Vladdy do with $500 million US? All when we return to the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. The Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Daniele Franceschi in for the vacationing Sammy McKee. When do you think we'll miss him by? Wednesday, Thursday?
No.
No slate to you.
No, hey, if you didn't miss them, then we got a problem. To some extent, right?
That's like a relationship observation.
Like,
it's like, they've been away for a week and I still don't miss them. This isn't good.
We're going to get through a Maple Leaf team playing in Florida against Tampa, obviously in the Panthers, but yeah. It's always nice
if they play well, we'll be able to just enjoy it rather than have him be like,
yeah, but when they don't play well, I kind of enjoy it too because Sammy cries in his spilt milk.
Takes
Give
the
me
emotion.
the cats. Meow.
He doesn't care. He's on a beach somewhere.
All right, so lots of talk around the league now that maybe some teams are tanking to pick their opponent.
Yeah.
Or, like, And did Biz think the Florida Panthers are tanking?
Yeah, a little conspiracy theorist action. That's for sure. We do
play?
have the clip. I mean, we want to hear it?
No.
No, okay, we won't hear. I put, by the way, zero validity to this theory, this conspiracy theory.
They are hurting.
They're hurt.
They've played a ton of hockey. Reinhardt didn't play. Barkov's not playing. Kulikov's not playing. Ekblad's not playing. Kachuk's not playing.
God.
Because a third of their lineup.
Yeah. Tough to win a whole lot of hockey games when you're missing, 5 of your top 6 or 7 guys. But I do think it brings to light a similar point to the Edmonton Oilers that, yes, they're likely to be healthy in time for the playoffs. But can you be at top speed when you've all been hurt? Is it okay to just be in the game? I think these teams are at risk of falling behind early. And for the Oilers and Kings, LA wins a ton at home. So if you're going to open up in LA, and these guys haven't been around, but Trent Frederick is back. He did play a game.
Mm-hmm.
So they're
Is
getting
he back out now?
No, is he? Well,
I don't know. Somebody said maybe
he played 7.5 minutes. I did hear that he
got hurt again.
did get hurt.
There
But
was some kind of update I saw, yes.
Did you?
Yeah, okay. Latest.
Perfect.
This was from Chris Knobloch. Immediate return not going to happen for Trent Frederick.
Oh, man.
That's
All
a
right.
tough blow.
Previous injury flared up.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's not good. That is not good.
Listen,
Really bad.
With all due respect, trading for a guy that's on the shelf like that, you better be sure.
Yeah, it just felt like one of those scenarios, though, where it could be just like found money. You just like grab this guy who no one's thinking about, and all of a sudden at playoffs, wha-bam, it's exactly what we were looking for.
Like re-aggravated
That's
the same injury that's kept you out
His foot, his ankle.
both
months.
McDavid and Draisaitl.
So it's a
on
high
Saturday, too.
ankle sprain.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Came back too soon.
All right, well, high ankle sprain, he's cooked.
I'm guessing. That's just me guessing.
Yeah.
I don't know what he has.
Okay.
But if that's the case, it's where the broken bone would have healed by now.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And when you re-injure a high ankle, it
Might be another 6 weeks.
yeah.
I think, Bourne, your point about them going on the road and you play the Kings and you don't have home ice, and the Kings are, if not the most dominant team
I
at
think
home.
they have 5 losses in
It's
this year.
insane.
Yeah.
Insane how consistent they've been. And you play there. Now, Saturday, they get shut out by LA. Different scenario. Obviously, no McDavid, no Draisaitl. But, yeah, you don't like that draw. You do not like that draw at all for the Edmonton Oilers, especially if their top key guys are only going to have, never mind a handful, less than a handful of games before they have to play meaningful playoff hockey. And not in your own barn. No. Go across continent, go to the opposite coast, and play a team in their building where they're really good. That's tough.
It felt like there's a couple of teams this year where they could have had these really weird rocky starts and then salvage things, and it would be like, okay, they had to go through that, but now they're healthy. The Canucks were that for me, where I felt like they may figure it out. They move on from the Miller-Pettersson thing, and it's all going to get sorted out. And then Hughes is hurt, and it just never happens. And now, what a season for the Canucks. What a wasted year. The Panthers and the Oilers are a couple teams where it's like, it's going to come together for these two teams who were in Stanley Cup final last year. They're both pretty hurt, pretty close to playoffs. There's never a guarantee that they get it back on track. So that would be good news for a lot of other teams.
The other team, I would throw the Rangers into that mix too.
Absolutely.
Because I think they were certainly a team with high expectations, and then they make all these changes. Then they have a little resurgence, but now they've kind of tapered off, and it's like, okay, so what happened here?
They're the
right?
weirdest team in the league to me, the Rangers. Like, I thought that was going to be a team that would... No, they won the President's Trophy last year. Then they traded Trouba, got Miller, Heedles out, made all these huge moves, and they
just might consider it a one-off and then
come
back next year. They could be that team that finds its way back in the mix.
Definitely could. Like, there's talent there, but they are curious. You know who disappointed me this year there was that Keandre Miller. I thought he was going to be one of the game's premier,
really
like,
took
Sanderson type guy.
That whole defensive group really took a step back.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something going on with him.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Like just in terms of like,
he's not
that
right.
surprising?
He's not. I don't know where his head's at. I don't know if his focus, but he should be one of those young, really good defensemen coming into his into his play right now. He should be a top young defenseman right now.
Still there. He's only 25 years old.
He's not.
And an RFA this summer.
He's not Dallas Harley.
Thomas
He's not Harley.
No.
Right.
But you kind of felt like he might be Harley.
Yes.
Early on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
2 years ago in the playoffs, never mind being good and like he was stud,
Impactful.
incredible, really good.
Really goes to show what confidence does, when you're feeling yourself a little bit, and not there for him right now.
So what is this talk about Allmark calling out the media?
You know what the best part of having Yele here is? He finds stuff I haven't heard of, and it's in the lineup, and I'm like, all right.
Disco, what do we know about this?
Listen.
I thought this was really interesting. So he has a 30-save shutout yesterday. Anton Forsberg the night before had a 40-save shutout. Insane, incredible performance. Sens don't allow a goal the entire weekend.
Yeah.
And then after the game, where things are going great right now in Ottawa, teams playing well, right? They're surging. They're right on the door of challenging Tampa. And then there's this weird interaction that occurs between a reporter and Linus Ullmark in the availability. I left the question in on purpose so we could hear the context of it.
Perfect.
Let's play the clip, Derek, and then we'll react.
Does it feel different than being in Boston, though, Linus, where, I don't know if they were expected to make the playoffs all the time, but it seemed to be automatic. Whereas here, this is a team that's grown up together and they're trying to get across the finish line?
No, not really. I think it's just the media overall that's been, doing their job and not doing their job when it comes to following this team and writing things and saying things that I feel hasn't been fully, fully the truth. And so I'm happy now that the guys now that have been there for a long time, like Shabby, Shaki, for example, I think those are two who have been there the longest, and now have an opportunity to play really meaningful games and get into a position where you can battle for the cup.
Can you elaborate on that point in terms of things that may have been said or written about this team that weren't true?
Nope. That's for you to think about.
I like how he ended it there.
Hey.
I don't even know what that means.
We should call him Brismark. He's got some little hints of Brizgalov and some started the year with the cows thing, and
it wasn't that bad for me.
No, I disagree. It's not that it's that terrible. The words when he says writing some things that aren't the truth is the implication that it's done intentionally to me.
Yeah, but I don't know. There might be a kind of a language barrier too, where he's not finding the right words to say what he wants to say.
Yeah.
And that's what I've kind of picked up.
Let's just pick some people in Ottawa to blame.
It could be reading stories that have a negative feel to him, they're not quite ready yet. They're, the inconsistent, they got to make a trade, whatever it is, whatever vibe he got. It was off of probably people that are doubting us.
Yeah.
And
I think that's probably
what I get off of his comments.
Which in turn sounds like self-belief.
The mere fact that he just blew it off, if that's for you guys to figure out, suggests to me that he doesn't have one specific thing that he can turn around and say, when you said this was inaccurate.
Yeah.
I think he's talking about somebody's feeling of, you're not as good as maybe you think you are, and then he thinks that they're great, and maybe they'll turn out to be great, and he could be right all along, and yet someone in the media felt like they weren't going to make the playoffs.
This is the Bill Simmons nobody believed in us team, right? It's such an advantage to be that team, and they have that sort of, y'all said we couldn't do it.
For sure.
Watch this mentality.
That's what I get out of this, is that you guys doubted us, and we've never doubted ourselves. That's me considering you not doing your job.
I love the way you interpreted that.
Yeah.
Because I think that's probably the most accurate interpretation. I listened to that 5-10 times, and I was confused at first because I'm thinking, what's the root cause here? Like things are going swimmingly. The conversation surrounding that team is very positive. So where is it?
Do you think he doesn't like some people calling him Dr. Season
Well,
Off?
I mean,
I hope he doesn't.
Yeah.
I hope he doesn't, because we had Curtis Joseph on in the first hour, and if you didn't catch Curtis Joseph, please download it or wherever you get your pod and listen to it. And he spoke of a guy like Binnington who can play his best when people doubt him. When you say Canada's goaltending's in trouble, that feeds the beast.
And Michael Jordan, and I took that personally.
And I don't know, maybe Allmark's tired of people sitting there doubting him or doubting the team, either making the playoffs or me staying healthy enough, or I don't crack under pressure. I mean, you don't have to go too far away from our show where we've had conversations like, what's wrong with this guy?
Yeah.
Why every time he gets hot or it's looking good, he finds a way to disappear? And it's not like it's not legit question.
Right.
But he may not like it. But if it's feeding him right now, it might be good timing.
No, absolutely. It's I think it's good that he's got that mentality, and for the Sens, it's probably a good thing. So we'll give him points.
that team's fun. They're fun though.
They're fun,
and they're dangerous.
We haven't heard the last from Allmark. This is his first Canadian team too, and there's just more exposure. Oh, I know what I was going to say too. It stinks when everyone says, "Don't read the news. Don't listen to the press. Don't read anything about you. Just go about your business." Because if you're a hockey player, you probably love hockey, and you want to follow it, and you got to turn on Sportsnet Central, or whatever, right? So it's these guys just hear things about themselves. They hear the skepticism. That's all.
I agree. Ottawa's going to be one of those teams where you hope they're inexperienced enough if you're playing them that they'll find a way to lose. But I watched that Jake Sanderson control a game back there. And
This is so good.
You know, Shabbat and some of those guys right now maybe coming into their own. Hudson's another one we mentioned in Montreal. Montreal would be dangerous too.
For sure.
Those
are interesting.
Sorry, Montreal. I appreciate what they've done.
Yeah.
They're incredible run. Suzuki's been so good. You know, Kip and I made some comments about Suzuki, I don't know, weeks ago.
Yours were way stronger than me, by the way. Montreal fans, you have every reason to be mad at JP.
I actually watched that clip back, and I'm mad how out of context it got taken. I was like, in passing, I think he's like the 25th best center. And then I was like, immediately I go, I think that's too harsh. and then people took the first part of the quote. I looked after it.
First of all, he's having a fantastic season.
He's been amazing. I got him at like 13, 14.
I started this whole thing because I said on a championship team, I see him more as a second line guy.
Like when they're winning the cup, they'll
right?
get another number one.
That's all.
Yeah.
And it's like now we get messages saying, "Oh, you think he's not 25 now?"
Every time he gets a point.
And it's like,
is he 24?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
If you did a list of the top centermen, you could go 12, 15 where you're like, he's in that group. It's legit. It's
and
a good group.
Fluctuates.
It's a good
And
group.
he's having
If we
an
called him a
awesome
top 15 right now, which he's playing like he is, right? That's
a compliment.
Quite a compliment.
Yes.
There you go. I think that's
All right, this hour, Real Kyper and Bourne, brought to you by Bet365. Thanks for tuning in. We're back to do it again tomorrow on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show.